Welcome back to the show that dives deep into the world of hard enduro. This is it. It's the end of the season. It is the final race of the championship. We are heading to the 24MX Hixpania in none other than Spain. In this episode, we speak to the race organizers to know what to expect from the 2024 race, as well as our recap from 2023. Where do our riders stand in the championship? And of course, we end with a weather report. We hope you enjoy the episode.
All right, guys, so we are back for one of our final episodes, actually following the 2024 Hard Enduro World Championship. First of all, just well done, guys. We are done a great job so far.
Well done. I remember when we started this journey and you were about yay high, and now look at you. You're all grown up. God, it happened so fast.
Yeah, I get my proteins in every day.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into the nitty gritty.
So we're talking about the 2024 Hixpania round of the Hard Enduro World Championship. It is the final round. Man, it's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, and it's actually the 24MX Hixpania.
In 2024.
Correct.
24MX in 24.
Yes.
But sad, bittersweet that it is the last round. It feels like it went by like that. I blinked and now we're doing the second final episode, but last round.
It is a very quick turnaround time from Sea to Sky to this race. So Sea to Sky was only about a week and a half ago, and now we're straight into Spain doing Hixpania. Taryn, do you mind setting the stage for us? What can we expect from the beautiful country of Spain?
That's a great question. So for any of the listeners who are not familiar with what Hixpania is all about, it's actually quite notorious for combining a lot of intense enduro sections with, I guess you could say, kind of a medieval vibe, right? A medieval setting. They've got these I'm trying not to butcher this. I think it's called the Cantabrian Mountains, which means that the riders will face like rocky climbs. There are some forests there, some tight technical sections, but then you've also got this city where there's a lot of like castles, especially where you have the prologue and the city enduro events. So it's a very historic area, and I think it's going to be a really cool vibe. It seems really fun, but it also seems really tough.
And let's not forget the fans. I think that the Spanish people are crazy about motorsports in general. We've just wrapped up the ISDE 6 days international race, which happened in Spain, where a Spanish rider, Joseph Garcia, took the overall win. MXGP, Chris?
Jorge Prado just doubled up back-to-back MXGP champion, also from Spain. And Joseph Garcia also just won the Enduro GP championship. So they've got it out. Got it out for us.
And we did a bit of research on what happened last year in 2023. And it's quite clear to see how crazy these fans are about motorsports. They don't care where you're from. If you entered into this race and you're riding a motorcycle, they want to take a photo with you. And photo por favor is something that I learned inside this little recap, which I probably butchered it, but I'm sorry if I did. But yes, this is what you hear quite often.
It sounds like it means, can I take a picture? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think
or
so.
do you use the term without knowing the definition?
I use the term without knowing the definition.
Okay, I do that very often, so don't worry. But I think we can guesstimate that it means take a picture.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Please.
I guess por favor is please.
You're onto it. Yeah, no, but those fans are absolutely mental in any aspect. They also had the MXGP final race where Jorge won the championship in Spain, and that scene was absolutely immaculate. Those fans are just on a whole nother level.
Last year, we saw Manuel Lettenbachner wrap up his championship at this race. Remember that last year, this race wasn't the final race of the Hard Enduro calendar, and Manny wrapped it up one race early, just being the stud that he is. This year, it's the final round. He seems to be having everything in the bag for the points. But before we get into that, the guys following him, I think I think Manny has a target on his back for 2024. And some guys that are from Spain that know this place quite well, I think that Manny should watch out for this race.
I agree. But I know we say this a lot, but I do actually agree with you on the fact that Manny I think he's doing really well. Obviously, he's doing really well. But there are some riders who are very strong now at the end of the season, which honestly is quite surprising. It seems like, and I'm going to say it, Mario I think he's out there to take a win. I think he's coming into this race. It's his home race. He's been racing this since the beginning. He knows this like off the back of his hand. I genuinely think that if Manny gets ahead of him, he's got his eyes on him.
That's a very good point. I mean, he just came off of that outstanding ride in Sea to Sky just a couple of weeks ago, or not even a couple of weeks ago, pretty much a week ago. Last year, he also rode phenomenally, ended up second. Another Spanish rider, Alfredo Gomez, also last year almost stuck it to the boys in day one. So the Spanish guys do really have a strong chance of making something happen here. And let's not forget that Manny did have that big crash. So is he, managing it? Is the injury as bad as we think or don't think that it is? We don't know. But I think Mario could be the one to stick it to the stud.
I hope so. To be honest, I want to see someone else win. I think it's exciting to have someone else win. No offense, but I'm so over seeing the same guy win. Maybe an unpopular opinion. And I'm not saying that he isn't doing a fantastic job, but I want someone else to win.
Just keep it down. Just generally keep it down.
I definitely think that I think most of us want to see someone. I think it'll be exciting not only to see a new rider, maybe even a new manufacturer on the top of the box, something not so orange, even though I'm a big fan of KTM, but it could be cool just to give the spotlight to someone else in that. But yeah, Mario definitely for me is a guy that we should all be watching for this race. But there's also one guy that you guys again aren't thinking about.
I'm thinking about him.
Graham G-Force Jarvis. You guys got to remember that Graham lives in Spain.
But he's not Spanish.
I forgot.
But lives in Spain.
Graham Jarvis lives in Spain. He's got a nice little house there inside the mountains, and he does his training there with Tabat and Dariush and his little team. So he does a lot of riding in Spain. He's a previous winner of this race. I think a 2-time winner. I'm not 100% clear on that. But he definitely has what it takes. And from what we saw from Sea to Sky, taking the last checkpoint win, absolutely smoking the guys at the end of the race. Graham Jarvis, the 50-year-old, is the fastest guy at the end of a 6-7 hour race. Man, that is something that we can't
that needs
forget.
To be studied. There's something suspicious about that.
Right.
There's something very suspicious about that.
I think we also need to keep in mind though that this race is actually not long. It's not a long race. We're not out there for 7 hours. It's not Sea to Sky. It's not Romaniacs. It's a jam-packed 2.5 hours of just go. Multiple laps, just pushing it. So I think that is different as well. It's not about your necessarily endurance, but how much can you push in a short period of time. You're definitely tapping into those energy reserves quickly.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you want to share some of what is happening currently inside the championship? So as we mentioned, it's the final round of the championship. Manny's got a sizable gap over the rest of the boys, but I'm pretty sure there's some battles happening down the leaderboard that we should be looking out for.
Yes, there are. So Manny is, as you said, in first currently with 112 points. I'm going to say that we can probably predict who's going to win the championship, But our focus is kind of shifting more now towards who's going to be in second, because we have quite a close competition between Wade, who is currently in second with 95 points, and Mario, who is in third with 91 points. So there's only a 4-point difference between them. That is not a lot when you have one race left. I mean, that is a competition right there.
The battle definitely seems like it's for second place.
It's a nail biter. And it actually wasn't the case just 1 round ago. 1 round ago, we were talking about the championship. I think it was maybe 8 or 9, not even 8 or 9 points between Manny and Wade, and how the turntables. Now Mario comes out of nowhere, crouching tiger, and just pounces on that podium. And now he's got his eyes on second place.
Exactly.
The battle was between the Sherco Factory Racing riders, actually between Theodor Kabachiev and Mario Roman. There was only 4 points difference between them for third position. Wade had a decent gap from Mario and was at the point of actually changing things up. If he could have secured a good finish at C2 Sky for to chase him down in this last round, but yeah, Manny just was dominant inside that race, and Wade unfortunately didn't have a good one. He said that he just tapped into energy reserves a little bit quickly in the day and just couldn't get it to the finish line. And also, as we mentioned, some technical issues with the motorcycle suspension and that.
In fourth, we have Theodore. So, as you said, Brandon, there was a competition between Mario and Theo, but now not so much. I think Theo is pretty solid in fourth place, and we've got Mitch Brightfall, who's pretty solid in fifth place too. So I think your top 5, I think they are reasonably set in the championship, but I think, as we said, the main competition is between who's going to be in second, who's going to be in third.
Yeah, that's it, right? I am rooting for you, Wade. But Mario is definitely a boy, and I think that he's got he's got something to prove, man. I just feel it. I feel like in this last race at C2 Sky, doing what he did to his motorcycle, destroying that header pipe, but then still pushing through the odds, fighting Greymorph, which was pretty impressive, right? And I think that he did good there.
And as well, I mean, Wade, he had us on the edge of our seat. We honestly thought that he was gonna pull a rabbit out of the hat on that last race, on that last day, and unfortunately it didn't go that way, and how it just completely swung in the opposite direction, and now we have a battle for second. I think as well with Mario, home race, hometown, home terrain, and I believe he's come close a couple of times at this race and has never actually been able to get the W. How good would it be to finish on top and almost replicate Jorge Prado's win at the final round in Spain? What a story that would be.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Man, that would be insane.
I think let's also not forget that we also have another rider from Spain who is also competing a little bit lower down in the championship, and that is Francis Moret. So Francis and Matthew Green only have a 2-point difference for sixth position, for sixth in the championship. That is an even closer rivalry. And again, in your hometown, well, necessarily a hometown, but like your home city, home country, maybe he pulls it out the bag and he secures that sixth position. Who knows? Who knows what will happen?
It's a battle between the Spanish and the South Africans. That's what it is.
Right.
We also know that Francis Moret is a Plus rider, which he rides for Plus tires. So also, trying to give a good name for his sponsors out there, and for his hometown, in his home city, but home country, exactly. I think it would be really fantastic, and he just had a phenomenal ride as well at C2 Sky. Came on super strong at the end there, just clipped Wade right on that last hill pretty much, and he's riding phenomenally. It's definitely been his better season inside the 2 years that he's been doing it.
And what a way to build at the end and build that momentum right before I'm just going to call it a hometown race. I mean, if the boys were racing anywhere in South Africa, we would call it a hometown race.
Yeah.
So we'll just say that. And perfect time to put in a solid ride right before it. It's looking good for the Spanish, I have to admit.
And then let's not forget that it's actually the final round of the Junior World Championship title as well. So not only are we going to see the FIM boys racing, which Mitch is a part of both of them and then leading the Junior Championship, but we'll see all the juniors out there also fighting for positions and points inside that leaderboard. Mitch Bartmore's got quite a steady lead ahead of him there. He's got the points lead. I think he's taken the W in all races so far in that class. His brother, Ashton Brightmore, quite close, not close behind him, but behind him, trailing there, showing that he can do pretty phenomenal things. What we saw at TKO when the pressure was off, he was there and he was on.
He was on top, boy. And something that Taryn mentioned to us earlier off air, the top 4 junior riders are all from the UK, so maybe we have a shake up there and a UK rider puts in a good result, maybe gets on the box. Billy, we completely forgot about Billy as well. That's a stacked field. I think this championship, with Manny losing that one win where he was injured, it shook up a lot of things. I think a lot of people maybe got that bit of motivation to think, okay, like now's our time. And it's brought the championship at the end of the championship down to the wire between so many riders. To actually raise another point, I think that it is so much harder to back up a championship once you've won the first one. I do not speak from experience, but I have heard a lot of riders say that the first championship is the easier one. The second one and backing it up is usually the hardest. And I think that has been the case, especially with Manny. I mean, he hasn't won anything yet. I think we can bench race, speculate and say he's going to win this one. Obviously, we hope that that's not going to be or at least for this race, it's not going to be the case. Love to see some diversity and some excitement. But yeah, it's definitely been a bit more challenging than his first one, I would say.
Do we still call it a perfect season if he takes the race? Win?
No.
Yeah, that's a tough one because
No, 'cause
clearly
he didn't win.
He didn't win every
round. So not a
round in the
perfect season.
So I would not say a perfect season, but he did race perfectly in his season.
Yeah, I would say in the past, I wouldn't call it a perfect season, but I would say in the past 2 years, every race that Manny has entered, he has won.
Yes.
True.
Which sounds like a perfect season.
It does, but
If you read the fine print,
says
T's and C's apply.
Yep. So moving on to women, right?
Yes. Something that I would like to mention that we did not do in the previous episode, but definitely needs recognition, is that at the C2 Sky race, Kirsten Landman took home the 24MX Women's Performance Award and had an amazing performance. She came 70th overall, which is incredible. And I think there were 11 checkpoints. She did 8 out of the 11 checkpoints in that race. And I just want to give her well-deserved time and a well-deserved congratulations for that performance.
And not only did she do really well, but she also got the 24MX Women's Performance Award, right?
Correct, as I said.
As you said. Oh.
As Taryn said, and you just confirmed. So I'll just let you guys know that she did in fact get the 24MX Women's Award. It's
just making sure.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Second
Just
first.
second, yeah. Right.
Okay.
And then for this next race.
Yeah, for the next race, we have 2 women that I know of that are entered, and they actually also won a performance award previously. So we have Sandra Gomez, hometown girl. Hometown girl. So hopefully, maybe she will do pretty well in this race. But then we also have Eva Tauber, who I think she's German. Don't hate me if I'm wrong. But she also had a fantastic performance previously in some couple of races. She's got this award before. So I think it's going to be interesting to see which of these women comes up on top, I guess. And what I think you could say who makes it the furthest, put it that way, whose performance is noteworthy enough to receive the last performance award of the year.
It's going to be tough to beat Sandra Gomez, I must say.
Sure.
Because, being sister to Alfredo Gomez, she is now sponsored by factory, Fantech Factory Racing, doing rally races and stuff now. So it's very diverse inside her riding career, which is what we see actually with most of the riders. Kirsten Landman also entering into Dakar, being kind of her primary focus for 2026, so next year's Dakar. And it's I think that's definitely the step that we see happen quite a bit. But what's completely different is that this is hard enduro. So let's speak about the course and what the riders can expect at this race. So a little bit different from last year. Last year it was a 3-day event. This year it's only a 2-day event on the Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is made up of your qualifying and then prologue. For qualifying, we will see the riders attempt a 7-kilometer route which starts on the side of the lake at the paddock, which they've made a small endurocross course there for the riders. The riders have 2 attempts to put down their fastest lap time. For the FIM boys, the starting order is based on the championship points. So we'll see Manny go out first. 20 seconds later, we will see Wade and then Mario and then following further back. Then for the afternoon, we have the Super Enduro Prologue, which takes place in the village inside the town just near Hixpania, or I guess the town is called Hixpania.
No. But even if we knew the name, I don't think any of us would be able to pronounce it.
You know what? It's like Agula de Campo, I think. Something along those lines.
Sounds good.
I know I'm not saying it correctly, but it's something along those lines. That's like the town or the city that it's in.
Yeah. And so Super Enduro takes place in this village or town or city that near the race. And this is just for fun. It's just a crowd pleaser. It's just showing off the riding skill and ability for the incredible Spanish fans. We saw it was very well attended last year. And that's where I learned my Spanish from, actually. It was a really cool event. So these riders will go, I think the top 16 riders from the FIM class will go into the races where they'll get knocked down.
I think it's less of an FIM class and more of just like the pro class.
Gold,
yes.
Yeah, so it'll be the top 16 from gold class that will, from the qualifying results, will then enter into this race, and it'll be a one-on-one, basically what we saw in Nashville inside the TKO knockout.
Also seems very similar to the prologue of Romaniacs.
Yes.
Where like your qualifying, you get that cut down, and then you have like a specific amount of riders who are then on that prologue, and then yes, it is a competition, but in this case it is, I guess, more just for clout, right?
Yeah, and this one it's 1v1, so it's a there and back, basically super enduro like what we saw in Tennessee. Turn around, come back.
I see.
Yeah, and time ride, very similar to those. So that'll happen on the Saturday. And then where things start, also very important to notice is that the FIM points will be awarded for the morning session qualifying results. So top 3 from the FIM and the gold class will then, or from the FIM class, will then get the maximum of 3, second place 2 points, and then third 1 point.
Yes.
And then we move on to Sunday, which is where things get super exciting. This is a multi-lap format where the riders have 2 hours to complete as many laps as possible. The bronze and silver riders will race in the morning. The gold riders and FIM guys will race in the afternoon. For the gold riders and FIM riders, they have, as I said, 2 hours to complete as many laps as possible. There will be 70 riders starting that race. The starting procedure would be 2 riders at a time for the first 10 riders with 5 seconds in between. If you've seen anything about this from previous years, they start in a pretty cool cave. It's pretty awesome. You must check it out. It's cool to watch. Then after that, you've got rows of 10 riders that set off about 1 minute 40 to 2 minutes behind these first row or first 10 riders. Within 3 laps, the riders will be knocked down to 40 riders. So it is a knockout style for the first 3 laps. So if you're an FIM guy and you're fighting for points, make sure that you are in the top 40 for those first 3 laps. After 3 laps is done, it's go time and it's green flag. These riders will then continue racing for 2 hours until the mark has been reached. After 2 hours, then they will enter Hixpania Hill, which is the final loop leg of this race where if you're on the same lap as the leader and within 30 minutes of the leader, you will have a chance to get to the top of this hill.
Yeah, anyone who is not on the same lap as the leader by the time he gets into that final section, will basically the entrance will be closed.
What excites you most about that format, Chris?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a tricky one, but I actually understand what you're saying. I think that the most exciting part is that people are going to be having to charge, right? They're going to be they have to be on the same lap. And if there's any indication from past races, there's maybe 15 guys that we can expect to that's a long shot, I think, as well, to get into that final Hixpania section.
Yep.
And I think that is the most exciting part. When I watched the replays of last year, that was where the most action was. I mean, Manny was long gone, but I remember there was a shot of him from Paul Bolton's helmet cam, where he literally looks back and gives Paul a fist bump, which I thought was cool. And then in that section as well, we had second, third, fourth, and fifth all battling for that podium position. So for me, that final ending is going to be the most exciting, but I think watching everyone try and chase to make sure they get into there is going to be a thrill as well.
In 2022, Mario actually said in a pre-race interview that hill is probably one of the most important sections of the whole race, because most riders, most of the time, you don't get up there first time. So if you are within seconds of a rival, it's not a good place to be in. You have to make it for the first time. And we saw Manny just about make it, not all the way to the top. Billy did a good job at it. Tristan did a good job of it as well. Mario, I think, as well. But yeah, there's a lot of mistakes that can happen on that last race. And being only 4.5 kilometer loop for that final race, it's not a very long loop. So I think guys are going to be very tight and very on top of each other.
I think as well, if Manny has been able to recover, and it's very clear that he, when he's in full health, is a bit ahead of everyone else. I think he's going to be able to get high up into lapping people and pulling a gap on them. So it doesn't really matter what everyone else does. It's how Manny is really, right? Hopefully, I mean, not hopefully, I think ideally for the best outcome in terms of race, hopefully he's not at his peak. And that brings a couple of riders up closer to him and then following down from there.
And a big part of this race, and I think Theodore had a really good point that I think Taryn will mention, but a big part of this race is weather, right? It changes massively when it comes from rainy or dry. But please, can you share the quote from Theodore from last year, which I think was really good?
Yeah, if you haven't watched the Red Bull video or recap of that, definitely do that. It's very entertaining and very insightful. But in that video, Theodore said, it's rocks. They're either wet or they're dry. Well,
I love that.
You're not wrong.
That should go on a t-shirt.
That's true. It's either wet or it's dry.
It's either wet or it's dry. I think that is pretty good. And actually, speak about Theodore. He had a massive crash there the year before when he was not on Sherco.
He did.
Yeah, if you watch 2022's recap, he goes down super hard in one of the faster sections around the dam area. Just, head over heels.
Crazy that they actually caught that on film.
Yeah, just
from, I guess, like a drone or somehow I feel like they caught it out the corner of their eye, That's how it feels.
The drone's peripheral vision.
Exactly.
But I think to go on that's one thing that you don't really see a lot of. Unfortunately, it's not a very spectator-friendly sport. So there are a lot of big crashes. For example, Manny's one from Sea to Sky that nobody caught on camera, right? So you can't really tell how severe or how crazy these crashes are. And I think majority of the time, we don't really actually fully grasp how big these crashes are. Luckily that time, or maybe unluckily, it was caught on camera. But I think something else that you mentioned was that it was on the side of the dam, which I found very interesting, that this dam drops to such a level, or lake, whatever it is, the ocean, I don't actually know what it is, but it drops to such a level that these guys are able to ride on the banks of it. And I mean, it's a good couple of 50 to 100, maybe even 150 meters of just riverbed that they can ride on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a good point to mention. As enduro riders, we're often looking at those sections as like, ooh, we can ride that. Like when tide's low, if you go pretty much anywhere and there's no water, it's for us that's like, oh, that's a pretty cool section. And I guess for you in the motocross side, you're looking for hits out in the mountains where you see a perfect face or a perfect landing or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of because I look at a river and I'm like, it's a effing river. And you're like, you're frothing from like the mouth and you're just waiting for the water to drop a little so you can go and splash in the mud and make a mess and just cause havoc. Yeah, which I'm starting to understand it. In an
environmentally friendly way, though.
Correct. We clean up when we're done. Yeah. Or you clean up when you're done.
But I guess that pretty much wraps up our episode.
Just about. I'm going to put on a hypothetical weather cap and just give you a quick prediction on what the weather might look like on the weekend. From what I can gather on my weather apps, it says that Saturday, hardly any wind, but could be slightly cooler, about 10 to 11 degrees. So quite, I guess, nice to be riding in that cooler temperatures. And then Sunday, maybe a little bit hotter. So between like 8 and 13 degrees Celsius. We work in Celsius here. And it could drizzle on and off throughout the day. So I'm not sure how that will affect those rocks for Theodore. And then generally not very windy, but there might be a couple of like big gusts when the the gold class riders start their main race. So this is kind of a general idea of what you're expecting with regards to weather.
Thanks for the weather report there, Taryn. Yeah, that was quite insightful.
I think you should become a weather lady.
A weather woman.
Weather woman. That's what they are.
Weather woman.
But with that weather report from our weather woman, Taryn, I think that we can definitely say that this could be ideal temperatures to ride in. If I think of when I'm riding, you never want it too hot. You saw how the guys were frecking at the hot races this year, and I think that they're not going to be able to use the excuse of heat stroke or anything like that. I think it's prime conditions to be riding your motorcycle at the absolute limit.
Yeah, and what a place, what a venue. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for us. Guys, thank you so much once again for an awesome episode. But we want to thank you guys the most for listening in and tuning in to our podcast. It's been such a cool ride. We've met some really cool people, and we just want to thank you for joining in. And if you found any value inside this podcast, please sure to share it with your Hard Enduro mates. It would be really cool if you give us a 5-star review on any of the podcast platforms, because that really does support what we're doing here. And if you are at the race, Hixpania, share us some of your photos and some of the things that you get up to while you are spectating at that race. Yeah, we would love to see the race from your perspective. Unfortunately, we are not there, but we still love to see the content. I mean, we're passionate about it, so keep us in the loop. Yeah, and if there's anything that you happen to catch on camera that maybe the big media guys haven't caught on camera, be sure to slide into our DMs so we can push it out there and give a shout out to you as well. Yeah, and if you are trying to follow any of what's happening, we'll be doing a daily report, exactly what we did for Sea to Sky. I think that provided a lot of value and insight with what happened each day for Hard Enduro fans out there. So if you find any interest in that, then for sure follow our Instagram page. News in. We have a last minute interview. Yes, Paul. Oh shit. Okay. Yes. Okay, sorry. Actually, guys, so we've got an interview coming up with the race organizer. So if you are interested in hearing from the men on the ground which are making this event happen, stay tuned to the pod, to the rest of this, and I'll catch you in that interview in just a sec. What's up, Enrique and Jamie? Welcome to the World Hard Enduro podcast. Before we get going, please do you mind introducing yourself to our listeners? Okay, thank you for your invitation at this podcast, and I am Enrique, Director of Hixpania.
And my name is Jaime, but people worldwide call me Jamie, so there's no problem, Brandon, to call me Jamie. I am in charge of the sponsorship strategy of Hixpania. Yeah, we're really looking forward to the competition, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Cool. So let's get going. I want to know a little bit more, and I'm sure our listeners also want to know a little bit more about the history of the 24MX Hixpania race. And also, how important is it to you guys as the organizers to have or to be part of the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship?
Yeah, so Hixpania was born in 2016. Actually, it was born even before the Hard Enduro World Championship starts. And when we were thinking about the concept and the event, we wanted to create something that is easily identified with Spain and its traditions. That's why when you see our logo, when you see our branding, or when you see our production, you can identify some items as a shield, as a sword, or as a medieval knight. And also, our races are happening always in medieval locations. For example, here in Aguilar de Campo, we do the prologue in the Plaza de España. That is actually a medieval location. Beside of that, Hixpania, the naming of Hixpania, is directly linked with our national holiday. El Día de la Hispanidad is the name in Spanish. And we celebrate every year this holiday, the 12th of October, every year. And that's why Hispania, it's always happening in October. We try our best, but also we need to adapt our dates to the World Championship calendar. But we try always to be as close as possible as this Spanish holiday. And yeah, as I said before, Hispania was born before the World Championship exists. But of course, it's super important for us to be part of this amazing calendar with all these amazing races, worldwide. It's a plus, especially, I think, for the crowd and for the fans, to crown here in Hispania, year by year, the world champion. We are really looking forward to do it this year as well.
That's really interesting, and I definitely can understand what you're talking about now, looking at the logo and everything, the communications that come from Hixpania being medieval. That's very interesting, and I think that not many people maybe thought of it that way. So yeah, thank you for that insight. And then from the race perspective, I think that the race is definitely captured the hearts of the Spanish fans. What is it about this race that resonates so much with the Spanish fans? Like, why are they so passionate about Hixpania?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the country is special. I mean, Spain is a factory of world champions in motorsports. So we have big names in MotoGP, we have big names in Formula One, we have big names in Dakar, in rallies, and of course we have big names in Hard Enduro as well. We have a lot of examples. Beside of that, the crowd in Spain and the fans of Spain already are more passionate than maybe in other countries. I think we feel already this kind of sports as a plus. And beside of the world champion factory, beside of the fans of Spain, Hispania, the 24MX Hispania Hard Enduro, it is super special because the event is happening in locations that the crowd is super, super close to the rider. So in the prologue and in the big race on Sunday, that it's called the Lost Road, the riders are just 2 meters, 3 meters from the crowd. So you can feel the engine, you can feel the effort that the rider has to do. And I think this is something that you can feel in the crowd. The energy goes up. And that's something important for us as well.
And I think that's very difficult to capture in hard enduro, because hard enduro is normally a race or a type of activity that happens very far away from people. But the fact that you can take it and put it inside a middle of basically a dome and have all the crowd, your Spanish fans, come out there to support and watch, I think that is really cool, and I think where the future of the sport should go as well. So really cool to hear that. And then I also wanted to ask you, what do you think it would mean to the Spanish fans to have a Spaniard stand on the top step of the podium, get the number 1 position at the final day on Sunday? I know we've got Mario Roman, we've got Francis Moret, we've got Alfredo Gomez, to name a few, but what would it mean for them?
Yes, for example, 3 times won a Spanish rider. 1 time Mario Roman and 2 times Alfredo Gomez. Alfredo Gomez won in 2021, the last time. Now Mario Roman arrived at this Hixpania very strong. The last season in Sea to Sky, he rode very well, but he had a problem with her motorbike and difficult to win this race. Francis Moret also. Francis Moret, he is hopping very fast, and he know this event. He rode here for a lot of time, and yeah, it's very nice. Arrive 2 riders in the top, and Alfredo Gomez, he know this event, and he feel this part of Spain very, very close to him, and it's possible one of them won, and this is the best thing for the spectators, because the most part of the spectators is from Spain. And at the Hixpania Hill, do you know Hixpania Hill? Hixpania Hill is the last lap for Hixpania, and this part is the hardest part of the race. And in this part, it's possible the riders pass or do the latest moves. In this part, we have 5,000 spectators. The noise, the atmosphere is crazy. For us, this is very nice, but it's possible. All the things is possible.
That's awesome. I think that it would be a crazy experience seeing Mario or Alfredo or even Francis Moret on top of that Hixpania hill under that Red Bull arch, holding that sword in the air with those 5,000 people at the bottom.
The last times in this case, if you remember, for example, 3 years ago, Mario and Jarvis, they moved 3 times in Hixpania Hill.
Yes.
Is one of the most incredible things in Hixpania. Or another thing, when Johnny Walker lose the motorbike, it's another all the time in this part do things, and these things is for the spectator. They wait all the time the Hixpania Hill. And this year we move this part a lot. For this, for the spectator and for the sport, because one of the things from Hispania is in Hispania we have 9,000 people to watch the main race, and this is very difficult to have in this kind of sports.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Speaking about the course, what is different this year to last year? Last year, it was a 3-day event. This year, it's a 2-day event with the qualifying and prologue, the city prologue in 1 day. Can you share with our audience, with our listeners, what is different from the course this year compared to last year?
Yeah, year to year, we do some changes. Because, for example, last year was in a long weekend. In Spain, last year was a Hispanidad. It's the day of Pilar. And we have 3 days in Spain. But this year, no. This year is a weekend alone. And we want to change not only for this, because some riders want to ride on the main race, on the Saturday race, Lost Road race. And we change not only for the days, we changed for the categories. Last year we have 4 categories, sorry, and this year we have 2 categories. But in these 2 categories, all of the riders ride on Saturday and on Sunday at the main race. This year, on the low road, we have 2 races. The Hispanos race is at 8:30 in the morning, and the World Championship is Caballeros in Hixpania is at 12. I think we grow about the experience for all of the riders, one of the things. And we change also the Super Encierro, because the last year was a multiple lap, like a Super Enduro, and this year is a straight rhythm.
Right.
This
so
year
they're back.
was 16 riders from the World Championship and 8 riders from the Hispanos. These changes, I think, is better for the spectator and for the riders. But after the race, we know if these changes is good or no for the riders. The entrance, for example, the Hispanos, a lot of riders do the entrance in only 2 days. We put the sold out, and this is the thing we change.
Cool. I think that's really insightful, and I think that the listeners get a good understanding with what is about to happen this weekend. I think that pretty much wraps up the questions that I have for you today. I guess you guys are super busy leading up to the race. You've got many other tasks to handle. But for our listeners, where can they find more information about Hixpania? Must they follow you on Instagram, or do you have a website? Where's the best place for the listeners to tune in to Hixpania?
Yeah, so from here we can say that all our official channels are going to be available, and doing some contents, video, photos, and try to tell what's happening during the event. Our social media channels are Hixpania Hard Enduro, so they can find us easily. And then, as you know, we have Red Bull Media House as well. So from the Red Bull channels, from the Red Bull Media House channels, Red Bull Motorsports are going to have contents there on our website, and on our sponsors as well, that we have to say thank you to all of them, public and private sponsors that we have, as 24MX, Blues Tires, Atom, Metacrilatos, Red Bull, Plus Pizza, Eurostyles. So we have a really, really good team of sponsors. They are going to publish all the contents as well in their social media channels. Beside of that, we work as well with one app that it's called Sporty T. We will have all the information about the live races there, so they can follow as well all the info, all the sports info. So yeah, from here we say hi to all the crowd and all the fans, and we are looking forward to be with them in the race. And if not, just follow us on our social media channels, and they will be in touch with us for sure.
Yeah, so guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and then I wish you a very successful Hixpania 2024 MX Hixpania.